nothing has happened so far. But then after listening to that episode, and like I've built this up from nothing. This didn't exist, and then it all of a sudden came into existence. And I've made great strides with the podcast. I mean, like I've got merch. It's on Spotify, and I've done this all on my own. I've received very little help. Like, this is my creation. I own the fucking thing. And if anyone, this is just a future mention to sponsors who want to come on board. Essentially, you're coming to me because I have a product and I'm offering a service. And this product is entertainment. That's what I'm doing. I'm entertaining people. And like, I'm only interested in two things from a partnership. Either you give me fucking money, or you have something that'll make this. Either you have connections that'll bring this to greater heights or exposure in that. Otherwise, I'm not interested in any other shit. Because, hello, welcome back to Al Talks. This podcast I started 3 years ago to chronicle me starting stand up. This podcast is a weekly podcast. It comes out once a week, and this is just a small little introduction video into the podcast. So down below in the description of each episode, you can go to my Linktree and find links to everything connected to me. This podcast is available on YouTube, which you're watching it on right now, and also on Spotify. But yeah, that is just a small introduction into this podcast and everything that goes along with it. Hello, welcome back to Al Talks. Hello, another episode. So this episode, I've been listening to Joey Diaz's old podcast, but it will be his second podcast because he used to do Beauty and the Beast with Felicia Michaels, who, I think, oh, here we go. And now the computer is upset. Why are you upset? But anyway, so I was listening to an old episode of The Church of What's Happening Now, and in this particular episode, they were talking about Lee. This was maybe Church of What's Happening Now, I think, was lasting nearly 10 years. So this particular episode was like 5 or 6 years ago. And Lee at the time was, I think this is maybe before he started doing stand up. And what he was trying to do was basically start like a podcast advice company, basically like podcast consultation sort of stuff. And he was talking to Joey about it, and he was like, look, when we started a podcast, because like Lee went to film school, well, he did film in school, like post-production and stuff, like, so he was like, that's how he met Joey. He met him, and he reached out and said, you want me to help you edit videos, shoot videos and stuff, all that stuff, basically all the production side of the podcast. And he was like, yeah, no problem. So he came down to shot a couple episodes, and then they started working together, and the end is, the end is history. It's all history. But what he was talking about in the episode, Joe was like, look, he goes, you've been doing the podcast, with me for how long, and other stuff. He's like, in order for you to bring somebody else on, like a partner or whatever, they have to be on this exact same page as you, because you know exactly how the podcast works, and you know how exactly you'd want it. And he was like, and he specifically said, so people can say that, a control freak or whatever, but you've been there from the very start and stuff, like, you know how it is and stuff, like. And he was like, and the other person you bring on, like, because you have the expertise and the knowledge and the know-how of how the inner workings of this stuff works. And he was like, if the other person is not on the same page as you, like, this would never work. It's just like, because he was like, "Who are you going to collaborate with? Somebody that doesn't know, or is going to keep asking." Like, there's no. He, it's just it was really striking to me because when I first started the podcast, I used to always like tag big companies and hoping that one of them would sponsor the podcast. Still hoping, um, but nothing has happened so far. But then I like after listening to that episode, and like I've built this up from nothing. This didn't exist, and then all of a sudden it came into existence. And I've made great strides with the podcast. I mean, like I've got merch. It's on Spotify, and I've done this all on my own. I've received very little help. Like, this is my creation. I own the fucking thing. And if anyone, this is just a future mention to sponsors who want to come on board. Essentially, you're coming to me because I have a product and I'm offering a service. And this product is entertainment. That's what I'm doing. I'm entertaining people. And, like, I'm only interested in two things from a partnership. Either you give me fucking money, or you have something that'll make this. Either you have connections that'll bring this to greater heights or exposure in that. Otherwise, I'm not interested in any other shit. Because, like, this, like, I want. I would love to build a little studio here. And, like, wish list for the podcast would be to get a pull-up banner thing with my logo on it, so I could, if I ever do a live podcast, I could just have that there. To get a green screen, to get 4 mics, that Rode interface thing I talked about, more cameras. Like you're talking about thousands and thousands of euro, and then soundproof and shit for here to make a little booth and whatnot. So, like, if it really, like, there's certain times, like, I'm listening to new podcasts and stuff like Sam Talent and Nathan Lund's Chubby Behemoth podcast, which is very fun, and Wide World, which is their like new travel series on YouTube. You should check it out. And I've started listening to Dan Soder's podcast, but every now and again I will go back and listen to old church episodes, and whatever they're talking about resonates, is actually topics that are relating to me right now, my own personal life. And it's like, it has happened a couple of times, like even with during the pandemic, and Joey Diaz just moved to Jersey when he had Uncle Joey's joint. I used to go and, like, for walks and stuff, and the episodes that he would bring out weekly, he was like, I don't really know why I'm doing this podcast. And it's like, nobody's really listening. I feel bad about it. And it was like, it helped me so much because, COVID times where YouTube is going to go mental now because they said COVID. But, it was kind of, I don't think I've talked about, but it was, it was just dark times for me personally. It wasn't great. Like, I wasn't, because before the pandemic started, I was getting on. I had kind of started regularly doing stand up. Now, like I said, I only did 5 gigs in the first year and a half of me starting stand up because I didn't really know. It was every kind of couple of months, but there was kind of 2 open mics at the Battle X I did kind of close enough. I think it was like 2 weeks apart or a week apart, or maybe 3 weeks apart. And I was just kind of getting to a good rhythm, and then all of a sudden everything stopped. So it was kind of during that time when, because the not everything opened up so quickly in Ireland, and before we could have fucking, oh god, it was just, it was very frustrating to just sit on my hands. Really, that's why I started a podcast to kind of, basically to chronicle me starting stand up, and then basically just give me something to do. But those, like, listen to those Uncle Joey's joint episodes really did help me. Because it was entertaining. Like, this is what I try to do for you, for me. I don't know, whoever, basically, to entertain you. And it does feel frustrating sometimes. Like on Spotify, like I've only got 5 episode plays, which is fucking annoying because I put a shit ton of work into these episodes. It's just like, and then other times I get so little engagement with some episodes that I put out. It's like a lot of work goes into this. So if a company would ever approach me, I'm like, either fucking pay me a shit ton of money, or you're coming to me with something that could elevate this. But I would just like, I mean, if they have connections at the biggest streaming platforms, like I would love to have. I'd love to know somebody who works in Spotify and whatever department that could actually help me with engagement and stuff and explain how the platform works a little bit more, because this is all stuff that I'm learning on my own. Nobody's teaching me this shit. It's all just me doing it. Like you know, you know, when they ask, "Can I see the manager?" and then go, "I am the manager." Well, because I am. I always make this joke. Oh, I'll talk to my manager or agent. There is no manager. There is no fucking agent. Just me. I'm running this one man operation. All this stuff like, and that's what Joey was saying to Lee in that episode. He was like, "Look, either you get someone with as much expertise," because he was like, "Look." He goes, the only people that you could essentially collaborate with in terms of podcast production, he was like Brian Redban or, you know, uh, Jamie. Now, Brian Redban and Jamie are both, they basically, like Redban started as a producer for the Joe Rogan Experience, and Jamie's the current one. So he's like, or other, and he mentioned other producers from other big podcasts. I can't remember their names, even though it's only last week. But it was, he was like, this is realistically the only people that could, because because you're on their level. Like, I don't know Mark Maron's podcast because Mark Maron was kind of the pioneer of the podcasting thing at the start. Him, I think not Joe, what's his name? I think Adam Carolla as well at the start because they were in radio and whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't know who does Mark Maron's production, or even if there is. Like for me, it would be great if I had a producer, an editor, and then maybe get the editor to do social media as well. Like, because I would love to just be able to just record a podcast, just send them the raw file, and be like, get to work. But like I said, unfortunately, I can't do that. Like, I'm recording these in bulk. Like, I'm going to be recording 3 episodes in bulk. And when I finish, this episode 2 that I'm recording. And when I finish, I'm going to go and edit the one for this week, and then I'm going to do the other ones next week. But that's all me that has to do it. Before, when I first started the podcast, the workload was about, I think, maybe 2 hours a week. But that's for shooting, editing, uploading, and then promotion. It's probably gone up to 2-3 times that amount. I'm probably spending maybe, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours a week now doing like the podcast. I often edit on the road. So if I'm traveling to Dublin, like where I stay, I usually just edit the episode there. The biggest issue now that I'm running into is the computer is slow. So I was looking at new laptops and the possibility of maybe using tablets, because to lug a laptop around, because I have to bring the laptop, which is, it's bulky, like it's big. If I could edit on a tablet, I'd be much happier, because the tablet is tiny. You could just pop it in and then you just buy a keyboard. So there are the two kind of options I'm looking at. But a new laptop is basically, to get one I want, to get the best value and performance out of it, you're looking at about 1,200 euro. Like I said, the only way collaboration wise would be like if these people could either give me just a shit ton of money, or have products and whatnot. It'd be great to get those sponsorships, like if I could get a sponsorship from like Rode or who else does good equipment? Can't really think of anyone. Or like Shure. Um, when Acast did that competition for a new podcast, I couldn't enter because I already had a podcast out. But essentially, they were giving you like a laptop, a mixer, like an interface, and and they were gonna help you with like the promotion side of the podcast, like that. Like it was about 2 grand worth of a prize. Actually, my friend Sinead Walsh won that, and her podcast should be coming out soon enough. I think probably in the next couple of months. And it was just, it's like that's a great price for somebody, but for somebody like me who started off with 80, 90 euro worth of equipment and absolutely no knowledge, like one of the biggest things from the podcast is social media and promotion side of things. You're always battling the algorithm, and they keep changing how the algorithm works, and it's I find it difficult to get engagement for certain things. It's just like shorts on YouTube is a great way to get engagement, but a lot of people, when they look at your shorts, yeah, you're getting good views on those, but you're not really drawing them to the channel to look at other stuff. So it's kind of um it's basically just kind of difficult to get people to the channel. So that kind of side of things is struggling, because it's just like I do try and post, but it's just I'm always having this like love hate relationship with social media, because I don't want to be good, because when I go on to usually post something, I usually spend like maybe half an hour before I post stuff, because I just get sucked into it. That's like why I started reading books a lot, like because usually when I'm on the road traveling up to somewhere, I used to do like watch stuff or go on social media. And now I'm trying not to do that, just listen to music and read books. And because I've received a lot of good books as gifts, and bought Joey Diaz's book and Sam Talon's book, which were like I mentioned, both great reads. Thoroughly enjoyed them. And what was I going to say? I was going to say something else, but I forgot. Is there more stuff to say? This episode's going to be quite long as well, like the other one. But like I said, I have a lot of things to say, and for potential future investors in this, you give me money, or you better have good goddamn connections. Or for companies that want to sponsor me, like Road, give me free shit so I don't have to spend fucking €2,000 on your equipment, which would be cool. And I'm using Rode's microphone. This is and their mic stand, and I've used it for the last maybe 2 years, and I have to say it's a great product. I've like I have no problems with it whatsoever, which is great. It does. I might, like I mentioned, I might get a different mic setup just because of how my desk is now. Because this room got redone recently, and it's just certain things got changed around and whatnot. Oh, yeah, see that up there? Where is it? Behind me. Where my finger's pointing at in the corner, that's a Tau Tide Shield from Warhammer 40,000, for those who are interested. And there's a bottle of Old Spice up there on the shelf as well. That's shaving moisturizer, which I rarely use because I rarely shave. But yeah, I'm just rambling now, so I'm gonna stop the episode. I think I might put a nice little clip surprise at the end for this episode, because why not? A little bit of reward for the folks back home. But yeah, so to summarize the episode, you want to work with me, pay me, bitch. The nicest way possible. I don't think I want to mention anything else. I'm just gonna go and record the next episode. Like I mentioned, this is bulk recording, so just give myself a bit of leeway room for the next couple of weeks. Essentially, just be 2 weeks leeway, which is great. I love when I record in bulk and just put them out. Scheduling on YouTube and Spotify is great for that sort of stuff. Also look on time because I have to go to work this week. Okay, so yeah, so that's the episode. As per usual, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. All the links down below, and I'll see you all next week. Bye bye.